Alright, there we go. What's up, guys? I'm here with an attempt to do some Unranked to Master shenanigans. I really don't like this, but I've been asked by many people on help to get to certain ranks, or they think that this would be helpful. And maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I'm not sure. You know what? People want it. I'll oblige. This is an account I've had for a few years. Never really climbed too much with it. I think I typically play, you know, maybe 2 or 3 games a year on it. But I think it's like low emerald. So it's not going to be the absolute bottom of, you know, iron or whatever, if that's what you're expecting. I'm sorry. I'd rather, you know, do my best to not ruin as many games as possible. But we're in the Irelia matchup. And what's important about Irelia is that you want to be really careful about her passive stacks early game. You could try to look for little trades on her, you know, level 1, but then you want to get the wave to come into you. And you're going to hold the wave like right here. By holding the wave right here, especially as we hit level 2, we want to be careful because she's going to get level 2 before us. But we could just kind of hold our ground with our W and really make her hurt. Like right now, we could start holding our ground. Look at that. I'll just do this. I'll get rid of the wave. I'll start chugging potions because we're going to be looking for a kill level 3. I'm trying the grass build. I have been asked to try it a few times. On stream, off stream. And frankly, it's not a build I'm super comfortable with. So I think it'll be a learning experience at the very least. I get to learn a new way to lane on top of whatever else goes on in this game. We're going to use this window to get our ward out. And now it's going to be the same deal. We're just going to stand here. I'm going to auto attack every now and then to keep my grasp going. But gonna try to keep her here. Okay, she has teleport, so we have to be careful of that. And I'm just gonna use the opportunity to just shove waves. We aren't gonna quite get the kill. Get rid of the wave really quickly, get the teleport. This is good. When we get trade recalls with our laner early game, it's really good for us because she doesn't want to use her teleport for that longsword and that refill potion. Whereas our first recall on Diana is really, really strong for us. This is a great opportunity to pick up our early Dark Seal, especially because we haven't used our Ignite yet. We're going to be able to come back with a good wave state. We're going to look to hold this as we get back, and we're going to look to potentially all-in her if she tries to force it. How we're gonna hold this? Let's use our shield. Get rid of some of the minions and just keep it slow. I'll check a potion just so I'm nice and full, but yeah, now she can't really play the game. Because it's not like she's going to find a ton of success doing that. We want to trade around around her bone plating, and we've got some good stuff going. She's going to hold this. They have Silas jungle, but I'm not too worried. It's going to be the same situation as before, where we're going to be threatening to dive her. She can't really play. If she ever does go for a minion when we have Q up, at this point it's like an all-in window, potentially. You know what, flash for flash, I don't hit it. We still have kill pressure on the Irelia, especially because we're going to get level 6 first. Alright. We got 2 flashes. He's not going to be able to hold this wave very well because the next wave is so far away. Next wave is all the way over here. But we get our solo kill. It's whatever. This wave is fine for us. It's not best, but not end of the world. And we're just going to get our items, so we're going to keep going. Normally, I'd be a bit hesitant about trading kill for kill and giving the jungler a kill, because when we give our laner a kill, it really like just makes our 1v1 a bit harder, but when we give the jungler a kill, it starts negative ramifications for the entire map, but... That's not good. You know what? Honestly, good on her. I didn't really recognize that she had the full 100 to 0 until it was too late, especially without her stacks up. Oh, she's dead, but that's not a good play on our part. It's really in situations like that, against Irelia, Yasuo, Yone, like any of these champions, if you see Conquer, Lethal Tempo, you really want to just be careful about what you're looking at, especially when trades become more than just, you know, 2 or 3 auto attacks, because then it starts to become really deadly. He should be fine up there. I'm not really worried about him. He doesn't have ult, but I'm just gonna sit here, play the wave. Once she finishes her Bork, it's really unplayable for us in this matchup. We have to find different ways to impact the map. Yeah, just like if we're like in a wave, as soon as you have a few minions to help you, a wave is pretty much a 2v1. And none of the minions were actually low enough as far as health goes to actually like pose a threat to the to us and let the Irelia get her resets, get a bit of healing, that kind of stuff. And so we really want to, in the Irelia matchup, before she gets Bork, get in her face when her passive isn't up. And we're going to keep doing that. We have one more reset, maybe. Yeah, probably 1 reset, maybe 2 resets if we could get another kill on her before we can have to just figure out some other way to play the game. We're going to ping for our Warwick to come. It's in Irelia. She's behind. We have a CS lead. We're going to keep trying to pressure her, get our jungler to come and gank us. Because if he doesn't, it's whatever. If he does, it's potentially game winning for us. I'm pinging him. I see the Silas. I'm trying to make sure I could get the pings without getting stunned by the Irelia. Because if we get stunned by the Irelia and it follows up with like a Silas E, really, really bad for us. I'll do something. This guy's just farming, you know. We do have Ignite, though. Ignite advantage, really important. Especially in Irelia, where a champion where a lot of the issue comes from her healing over time. I'm going for the roam, though, down here, because I think that this is potentially good opportunity. I'm not even necessarily going for the Silas. I'm seeing if I could maybe pick up the Nami. No, doesn't look like it. I wish these people would start to do this objective, because that's something that when you have a wave like this, when the wave's crashing into you, you don't want to sit there and hit the objective. That's something I see a lot of people do. You want to make sure that you aren't giving resources to get things like objectives. And so if I were to start hitting the objective and I lose an entire wave for it, you know, it's not like Silas is necessarily in a position where he's going to be contesting that objective. So we want to put ourselves in a really nice position to make sure that we are losing as little as possible. We don't want to have to give anything ever the best that we can. I'm moving up top here. I'm moving up top specifically because I knew that Silas would try to answer us getting the bot side objective by trying to take the top side objective or making something happen top side. Or else he wouldn't really be getting anything for anything he's been doing. Which is, you know, pretty high level. If you're, you know, silver or whatever, I wouldn't worry too much about it. But just making sure that you aren't wasting time the best you can. You're always trying to do something. It's really important. Because as soon as you're sitting on your hands, other people aren't sitting on their hands. And it's really creating more opportunities for others while it's closing opportunities off for you. I didn't want that cannon anyways. In any case, I'm still going to be hovering this top side. It looks like Silas is over there, so we could do that. He's pathing towards the spot, which is fine for us. We could also look to kill this Irelia, potentially. We have to be really careful with Silas coming mid from his raptors. There he is, right there. Especially because we knew he was right there, and with our team moving for this objective, it gets really, really awkward if I try to do something. It's pretty much forcing two plays at the same time. Whenever you have an opportunity to not force multiple plays at the same time, you are probably better off for cooling off a little bit. I'm going to walk up here and get this, only because I have the Sona. If I didn't have the Sona here, I wouldn't greed for that. We're 1900 gold until we have our item. That's about 400 gold for us. We're just going to see if we could get the item. I don't know if we're going to be able to very easily. I cannot turn back. 1900. There we go. We got it. Especially with our Empowered Recall, we aren't going to lose anything. But what you do have to be careful of is we have to be careful of this Irelia moving. I'm not really worried about her being able to get a ton of damage onto her tower. I'm worried in this kind of situation for her moving somewhere else. Because I'm pretty much sacrificing tempo here in return for an item. No more lies. This is something I'm worried about. Honestly, we could fight this. Alright, there we go. I could have flash ulted sooner, but I was waiting to see where the third person was, because MF wasn't dead, but I wasn't quite sure where she was, and so if she was going to walk to this fight, she's an extra target to flash to. But if she isn't going to walk to that fight, then me flash ulting earlier doesn't really change anything. You know, I'm still waiting on Warwick to walk anyways. And we're able to get a tower. Not quite first tower. Aatrox is doing a good job holding his head above water, top lane. But when you haven't taken a tower plate in a while, especially if you have grubs, no matter where the tower is, you can pretty much just nuke it with Diana, which is really important. Really, really important skill to recognize when that is. And now that we're trying to make things happen around the map a bit more, I have my Seekers. I'm going to swap to Oracle Lens. As soon as you stop laning and you're starting to look to other places and make things happen, is when you start getting rid of your Sweeper, or you start getting towards your Sweeper. Because when you have Sweeper, it makes your lane less safe, but it gives you more opportunity because it keeps you concealed as you're moving around the map. And I think that triple kill honestly just opens up our 1v1 to the point where I'm not really too concerned about Irelia anymore, but I am still wary because when she has Bork, it feels like anything can happen. So I want to try to avoid her even if I'm super ahead until I see that that I have Ignite, rather. Because without Ignite, you never know. You know, you get her 200 HP, you get through your burst, and you're kind of in the DPS zone of the battle, and, you know, you're never going to out DPS the Bork. And I was looking to go top because I want to hover this Aatrox a bit, but I wanted to make sure that I was kind of same side as the Warwick. You rarely want to make a side or a play on the side of the map opposite to your jungler, but when I see that their jungler's gone, I know that they don't have any ability to follow up on what I want to do. Their jungler isn't going to be a random X factor, basically. You know, this could happen, honestly. I think he's dead. Wasn't quite dead, but that's a really awkward fight. I think that getting the tower plate here is a lot more reliable. And I want to ping this. Nope, people don't want to fight this? Okay. If Warwick were to be on his way there, that's super winning for us. But he isn't. So I'm not going to try to force a fight that isn't winning because, you know, that's just complete delusion. It's living in a reality that doesn't exist. Trying to, you know, force your reality that you wish you had onto the world. But can run up to this guy, get some free Dark Seal stacks. We could transition this into a yep, fat fingered RR. But you know what? That's what happens when you don't play for a week. Oh. Okay. I'm going bot. We'll just get our Zhonya's. This is a fairly stock standard game. We made a huge issue in lane, but that's just how it is sometimes. You aren't always going to play perfect. I kind of had this idea for a while that, you know, oh, I made a mistake in lane. This game isn't, you know, it's not winnable. It's not worth playing. It's whatever. But at the end of the day, you know, you gotta work with what you have. Sometimes you're going to make mistakes, and what are you going to do? In any case, just like these other times, they're still here. I want to try to shove and pressure this, which is really good if we're actually able to hold like 2 for 1, because they're slowly getting out of resources, and I'm not at blue buff. But I really want to be careful of the Sylas. The Sylas coming here and making this a 1v3 could be kind of disastrous. So I just want to try my best to balance the pressure on the rest of the map. Alright, so we see Sylas, so I'm more than happy to start creating pressure. I'm going to stop their recalls, keep them here. At this point, I think keeping them here and low creates a potential to dive a tower, or at least stop them from responding somewhere else quicker. And just like this, when things are happening around the other side of the map, I ask myself, does it benefit my team for me to be there? Or is it more of a benefit for my team to, or for me to be here? And honestly, without my Ignite, I'm not really looking for these fights. They have a ton of healing. They have Nami, they have Sylas, they have Oliver. Every single person on their team, there's an argument to want to Ignite them. And so I'm just trying my best to ask myself, is this a fight worth fighting if I don't have Ignite? And when the answer is no, I could probably be a bit more potent with my ability to ping off the enemy team, or ping my team off the enemy team. But what I do know is that least I could do is make something happen that actually will work or matter, you know? Just right here. I'm going to sit right here. I'm going to start looking for a recall. I have a ton of gold. I'm going to look for Banshees, next item. This is the Arc second build that he's been going. I've been a fan of this kind of, this 3 item for a long time. In fact, I think even when I go Assassin, you see me build Banshees more than I build Zhonya's, which is really funny. Or typical Assassin, you know, Shadow Flame. But it's a fun time. I've been following this build actually since pretty much he was doing it back with like Roa before the mythic item changes even. we go. Just kite it out. I knew that my team was around here, so I figured if I could hold off the fight, which I figured I could with my W, eventually I have Zhonya's, people are going to come help me. The teleport actually made it a bit spookier than I'd like. I didn't actually account for that, but you know, when you have the homies around, it's not the end of the world. When the tower's really low and you're feeling threatened like that, you could easily stop and just ask yourself, you know, am I needed to be melee range here to finish off this tower, or is it safe for me because I'm not in a position where I want to die necessarily, right? So if I'm trying not to die, how's the best way to go about it? Is the way that you ask yourself. And typically it's, you know, you do a lot of damage until they start trying to contest it, and then you back off. Once again, I don't have my ult, so I'm not trying to push anything here. I'm kind of letting my Samira do a lot of work down in the bot side of the map, but it's warded somewhere. I think it's warded over there. Yeah, we're kind of really, I'm surprised how well, or maybe it's how poorly the enemy team is managing the pressure across multiple lanes. This typically doesn't go as well as it looks like it is right now. I'm just getting out of there. Nice ult transfer. Get to the Volibear and get out. I think that at this point, we got something. We're just gonna get the Mesh Eyes. It's pretty much full build. I'm really greedy with my Doran's Ring later into the game, only because of how much it helps our mana regen, which maybe matters less if we have the mana flow band, but we can just get this. I think just sitting on Mesh Eyes feels better a lot of the time than selling an item. That's not good. That's my bad. Honestly, kind of brained off there. I was talking about Mesh Eyes. Which is funny. We have Mesh Eyes. We lose Mesh Eyes. Such is life. I'm going to keep it because selling it doesn't do us any good. Honestly, if they disrupt Baron, especially if they Atrox TP, then nothing really matters. They're losing an inhib, and when they go to answer that inhib, I think we could just turn back onto the Baron. I don't think that this is necessarily... I don't think we actually lose a whole lot. Who got my shutdown? MF got the shutdown? Okay, MF is the least of our worries, because MF is the only person that we could actually one-hit. Like, any other champion getting the shutdown, it removes our opportunity, like, individually, to shut them down. But MF, we actually can. MF and Nami are like real targets. Everyone else, we're only able to mitigate their effects because they just aren't playing really well enough to push their leads. But in any cases, I'm going to sit here. I have the belief that it's really, really good to sit in a position where you could stop people or get a pick because it isn't necessary. I don't know why this guy is running that ult. That's very strange. But it looked like Sylas was going to come into this area, and without him doing that, no real reason. I figured if we could get the Sylas picked early, then it would be one thing, but if we can't, what are you going to do? I don't mind doing our best to pressure these two towers. I think that's probably the Best we could do, slowly get this inhib. Honestly, I think I might make a flash play. I don't know how they both managed to die there, I'm going to be honest, but we... Fuck. Damn. I don't know how they managed to die. That should have been a clean end, but got halfway there. At this point, I'm going to hold on to the Mejai's because, you know, it's not really worth selling. We can just sell this. Start going towards our Death Cap, probably. I think Death Cap's probably a solid 4th item for this build. I can't think of what else we would want. You know, maybe Dusk and Dawn, but Dusk and Dawn, what does that even do for us? Yeah, I don't blame this Warwick when I see someone playing something like this, or in like a style where they're just doing their own thing, because that's how I originally climbed. I just kind of ignored everything, and I'm sure that I had 1,000 people pinging me and telling me how I wasn't doing things right, but you know, people are gonna be doing their own thing, man. Like everyone gets to a rank for a different reason, and I think that a lot of delusion comes from people assuming this idea of like, oh yeah, I understand this skill at this rank, why doesn't this person understand it? And I think that that's a very dangerous mindset to be in, because who's to say that you got into a rank the same reason that they did, or why they are or aren't a rank for a reason that, you know. I don't need to ult there. I'm kind of just rambling, honestly. I could probably try to figure out a way to end this game quicker, but I think it's just a measure of getting us as 5 at one point. I think as soon as we get to as 5 and we get a super, like, cannon, I think, Baron Cannon minion, we just take down that last tower. They don't have their Silas anymore, which is a huge... Their primary threat for an engage, actually. Except for my Irelia. But I have my Ignite in 10. I'm trying to play around that. He's probably going to have to end up igniting the Irelia. I think that she's going to be the one that needs to lose a bit of her pizzazz. I don't have my flash, which makes this hard. I don't know if MF has flash. I want to assume that MF has flash because I don't think that she flashed last time. I don't mind playing a slower version of events. There we go. And that's GG. We found the ult target. Never stopped thinking about the MF, because I knew that the MF and the Nami were our targets this game. Everyone else is a bit tanky for us. And it's really just sticking to what you know you can do on your champion. Let me know if you guys want to see another one. This was Emerald Gaming.